Deli, everyone's calling you Deli. I don't know if you want, what do you go by most of the time?
Everyone calls me Deli. That's pretty much how I go by.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, Deli's perfect.
Just kind of maybe talk about how you got here and what was attractive, and Tommy said it all kind of came together all very quickly. What was kind of your side of that?
Yeah, so I spent 2 years at a school called Campbell in North Carolina. Had 2 great years there. Entered the portal after last year, and kind of was looking for a place to continue to get that development, that play development, because my goal is the NBA. So I tested those waters. Tommy reached out to me pretty quickly and was like, "This is what we've got. This is our situation. This is what we value." I told him what I valued and stuff like that, and it was a perfect match. That's why he's probably said it was the quickest recruitment he's ever seen. But yeah, we kind of connected quickly. Him, Coach Murph, they called me directly, and we were up all hours of the night just talking about what I can do, what they need, all that kind of stuff, and what we can do to win. And yeah, I loved it. I had been here before, so I knew what it was like. So I was just sold from the minute that they called me.
Talk about some of those values. What was attractive about that?
Yeah, I mean, play development's a big thing for me. It's the reason I came back to Campbell my second year, because that's something I believe that shouldn't go unnoticed in any place. And that's something here that I've noticed since being here the last probably 3 months, is that the amount we work out, the amount we lift, the amount coaches are always around wanting to, get us better. That's something that I've noticed in other places don't happen. And we've got a lot of guys from different places who have said at those old places that stuff doesn't happen normally. So that's something that I value, but also winning. Like that's something that I unfortunately haven't been a part of really, being at a mid-major level. My freshman year was successful, but I haven't made it to the tournament yet. So winning and play development are 2 things that I value the most. So that's something that they could sell me on and I was sold for.
So I think I heard you made it clear up front you were okay with coming off the bench if you had to, because you were the leading scorer there. I mean,
Yep.
is that true? And that seems like a big adjustment. I mean, you really okay with that?
I mean, there's a rumor that people think that starters are everything and benches are nothing, and that's not how it works. It's a team game, and as I've noticed, when you get to this level especially, it's like you need everyone to win, whether that's guys who are not playing at all, walk-ons, or starters. You need everyone, because it takes that in practice. It's like we can't get better if we don't have everyone in practice, you know what I mean? So now to say that I'm okay with it, I don't know if anyone's okay with that. If you offer anyone in the world here you want to start, they're going to say yes. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm happy with it, but at the end of the day, we're all here to play, and we're all good enough to play, and we all need to play to win. There's not one person that can go on the floor and win it for us by themselves. This league's too good. The competition's too good. So you have to have at least however many guys off the bench and whoever to play good. So I think that's the misconception that guys are kind of getting, like, oh, is he happy with it? Is he not happy with it? Either way, I've got to play well for us to win. Yeah. Other guys have to play well for us to win. It's not just me. It's not just Caleb. It's not just Trey. It's all of us.
Well, I just wonder, particularly because you seem like the kind of guy who could be in the portal. You were a leading scorer. You want to get to the NBA. You could be shopping only for places that are going to say, we'll give you X minutes, you're going to get the ball, and you're going to be our 3 guard or 2 guard or whatever. But that, I don't know, but you were a little more flexible from what you're saying if you were in the right situation, like here, or is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously when I was in the portal, I had almost every place, and I had a lot of places like that were like, here's the keys pretty much. Right. But then, like, my goal is the NBA. That's what I've always dreamed of. So I just saw it as a place like, why would I can come here and I know I can get better, and I have the pieces around me that can help me get better. They can give me everything I need in order to get to that goal. So it doesn't really matter if I'm starting or if I'm coming off the bench playing 30 minutes. Either way, I'm playing 30 minutes. So it's like, if this is the best place that's going to develop me the best, well, that's where I want to go.
So when you look at the NBA piece, then are you just looking at the number of guys they put in? Or are you looking at guys specifically that maybe fit your description? So I'd say maybe like a Pelle Larsson, who came here and obviously got to the league and is on our roster right now. How did you assess that?
Yeah, Pelle's a great example. I think we're very similar. He's transferred in here. He spent a lot of time here. He developed, and now he's one of the best rookies in the NBA. He's solidified his spot on a roster. So I think that's a great comparison. Obviously, Arizona's got a great pipeline from college to the NBA. But it's Tommy, really, and all the coaches around him that he brings that have that experience of what it takes. And it's not just like, oh, this guy can average 20 points, he's going to make it. You got to find your little niche in the NBA. And that's what Pelle's done. That's what Keyshawn's done. So I think Arizona, and especially Tommy Lloyd's sort of style of coaching, is something that I just was sold for because I knew that he understands guys like me and international guys, and he's always had that experience. So he kind of knows how to navigate us through that journey.
How many people were at your first game at Campbell? I think it was St. Augustine. It was like a non-Division One. What was the crowd?
My freshman year, maybe like 400.
And what was the biggest crowd you played in front of at Campbell?
Um,
NC State?
NC State, my freshman year, my second game ever of college. That was about, I think, 12,000. Virginia Tech last year, that was probably close to 10,000, about 8,000, I think.
But like a home crowd, what did Campbell hold?
They held about 3,500, but we would typically get around 800 to 1,000.
So, I mean, you've already played in front of, none of them have been as full as they would be on Monday night, but just the thought of having that many people that are on your side at a game, what does that feel like?
It's surreal. It's one of the best feelings because, like I said, I'm used to being that guy on the other side of that crowd, being down 20 points and having a fight against those 15,000 people. So it's definitely a great feeling. It gets you. You don't need that extra motivation. You don't have to go into the game thinking, "Oh, I hope I have a good energy today," because they bring it for you. That's almost how it is. So I love it. I'm excited to get the season started. As you said, it hasn't even been what it's going to be. So.
Connected up with on this team, both on and off the court?
On and off the court, me and Krivas, I would say the closest. Just because I had two Lithuanian teammates at my old school. He kind of has become that new Lithuanian teammate for me. And we kind of bond over things like, being not from here and a lot more things in common. But Caleb and I, KJ and I, JB, Trey, all of us, I mean, we're pretty close as a team. But I would say Krivas and JB probably the closest.
We saw a little bit of your temper the other night. Would you say you're the kind of player that you go into games and don't mess with me kind of attitude?
Yeah, I think that's what you have to have. I think there's a spark that every person has to have that, you got to basically draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going back. You have to either deal with it or I'm coming at you. That's kind of what I did, and I knew it was an exhibition, so I was happy to kind of get that out there to start with. But won't be much more of that in the season because I'm a bit too smart for that.
Yeah, Tommy said you can't even look at a guy now like that. I mean, was that what that was? And do you figure you have to really be careful in that situation?
About getting the tech?
Yeah, he said about the tech. He said it was right in front of the bench. We couldn't see it too well where we were, but he said you were just kind of standing over him, maybe because you were knocked in that position. But if you look at him the wrong way or something, the ref can see that as you're maybe trying to intimidate.
Yeah, I mean the game. Each ref's different, each day is different. It depends what you get. I mean, you can never script something like that. It's just basketball. But, I mean, you can look at the play 1,000 times. It is what it is. The ref might see it one way, you might see it another way. That day, it doesn't really matter. It was just, you get in the heat in the moment, the ref wants to take control, and he does his job. So I can't complain about that. If anything, it's my fault for being in that position. I shouldn't have fouled. But, like I said, it's an exhibition. So I'm glad that we get to get started now on Monday.
So speaking of Campbell, I know when Seth Henderson was here, he said that obviously the tempo was way slower there, but there were still some similarities in the way you're cutting and spacing, et cetera, screening. Do you find that the case too? It has a big adjustment to come here, or has that made it easier that you do some of the same principles?
Yeah, Seth's definitely right. There is similarities. I've noticed it since I've been here. Obviously, the pace is completely different. Campbell's one of the slower playing teams, and Arizona's one of the fastest playing teams. But the similarities kind of in the offense and how the bigs are used, the way the cutting works. Obviously, Campbell plays a Princeton style of offense, so that cutting comes natural to people who have been at Campbell. And that's something that Seth did in his time here. You could see him on a lot of those 45 cuts and those baseline cuts. But there is definitely similarities, and I think that's why Tommy has the liking towards guys like me, because we have that's all IQ at the end of the day. It's not about athleticism or how long you are or how high you can jump. It's just smarts and reading your defender. So there's definitely a pipeline between Campbell and Arizona play styles.
I know you weren't there when Seth was there, but did you know him or talk to him?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Seth. I spoke to him before I came here. I didn't play with him. He was his first year here was my freshman year at Campbell. But I'm close to him now. I've kind of, through my other teammates, they played with him. I've kind of connected with him, spoke to him about this place before I came and got his thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty close with him.
So did that influence you, or were you gonna come anyway, or did he?
No,
say anything?
it had influence. Yeah, it definitely had influence. He's been here. He had been to a place. He knew about it. So and I knew I was going to get a real response from him because, there's a lot of bias around, and I can't call Tommy and say, like, oh, what's it like? Of course he's going to sell me. When I can get said, he's going to give me either side of the ball, doesn't matter. So.
When I talked to you a couple weeks ago, you had said that YouTube was kind of how you got hooked up with Campbell. How different a player are you from those YouTube highlights?
Oh, night and day different. From what I was before I came to America till now I'm a different person. I look at myself in film and like, oh my God, that kid sucks. That's how different it is. Just that development of being in college. Like I didn't know about it until I got to the States, obviously. But the biggest thing I noticed about college was that development, and that's why it's something that I value myself on now, because there's guys that I've played with at Campbell who didn't get a run, who didn't play, and I've seen them improve from when they first got to Campbell when they left. And like I went back home after my freshman year, and I could see the difference between kids that I grew up against, and I go back home and I'm like, wow, it's not even a competition anymore. And like that's how I knew college was the right thing for me, because that player development is really, really focused on. So at night and day, to answer your question.
You talk about the offense. What about defensively? I mean, obviously, there's been a big point of emphasis here. Has that changed your game, and how is that, like, again, how's that adjustment been on that side?
Yeah, I mean, defense is a big thing, especially going from the CAA to the Big 12. A lot of bigger bodies, more physicality. It's something that I'm trying to pride myself on. Obviously, the offense for me has been there the last 2 years, but defense is somewhere where you'll find playing time if you can defend. So that's something I'm focusing on in practice, and coaches on me to try and help me. It's not like a thing he's going at me to make excuses. It's a way to make me better. But yeah, you got to pride yourself on defense. Like I said, you got to draw that line in the sand and be like, you're not getting past me. And once you get that reputation in the league, then your life becomes a whole lot easier.
Do you have national team dreams in Australia to play?
Yeah, I hope it happens pretty soon. I'm pretty good friends with John Riley. Been pretty good friends with him for a while now. Coach knows him very well. So I'm hoping that national team dreams are coming true pretty soon, hopefully 2028, if I could paint my future.
Those guys like Josh Green who played here as well, or
I haven't met Josh Green. I've met a couple guys like Keanu Pinda, Dellavedova, a couple guys like that I've met sort of here and there, just going back home and practicing with, like I practiced with United a little bit, a couple NBL teams, the Wildcats and stuff like that. So I've built connections kind of as I've gone home, but I also haven't been home in 2 years, so I haven't seen those guys.
Yeah, did he ever tell you anything about here?
Keanu Pinda? Nah, I've really only met him in passing. He was at a workout, and I just sort of said, what's up, and that's about it. I haven't actually, and this was after my freshman year, so Arizona wasn't even a thought in my mind back then.
All right, anything else? Bruce, good to go?
No, well, I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, I was just curious about your background too, and I think Tommy, Tommy had spent a year in Australia, I think, when he was out of college or something,
Yep.
and he played a little semi-pro, and he worked in a hotel or something, I think. Did you guys talk about that at all, or was that a commonality? Or I mean, I know it was a rush recruitment again, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about everything. That's the best thing about Tommy. I mean, I'm a guy that prides myself on having that relationship with coaches. Like, I walk into the coach's office and I'll sit there for hours and we'll just talk about anything. And basketball wouldn't even be the topic. So we spoke about everything. We just had natural conversations. He loves to, throw his little snipes out there about his time in Australia and all that. But I describe him to my parents as he's an Aussie trapped in an American's body. That's how Tommy is. If he wanted to be Australian, he could be.
Meat pies or something.
Yeah, every day. He'll send me a photo. He's sort of like, let's say next Tuesday morning, he'll send me a photo and it'll be a meat pie and a sausage roll on a plate. Just no text, just the photo. And I'll be like, breakfast of champions, and he'll love it.
He'll send you one from
Yep.
where?
He's home from lunch, from anything. That's Tommy, and that's what I love about him.
What's your favorite thing about campus so far?
A lot of differences. 60,000 people is a big difference. Walking around and seeing events going on 24/7, that's something that's different to me. Football games, pretty cool, tailgates, that kind of environment. But I would say just walking around campus and you kind of have that swag that we kind of pride ourselves on. That's something that's pretty cool.
Thank you, guys.